It's Saturday the 2nd of May, or thereabouts, I think. There's one section in the early part of New Mexico which I've heard so many things about. American friends that have hiked the CDT keep going on about it. And basically you go from parched, dry desert up into a small mountain range and things get greener. All of a sudden there's water everywhere, the air's cooler, and it's just apparently a beautiful place to be. It's called the Gila National Forest, and we're just about to go into it. Well, if my navigation's right and my maps are right, this might not sound particularly exciting to you, but this is Bear Creek, and unbelievably, apart from a small brown trickle of water just before Silver City, this is actually the first running water we've seen in about 150 miles. Which is good news. This is the first morning in the Gila. Hojo's just arriving. We had a great night last night. I slept like a baby in the tent. We're just going to fill up with some water out here and head a little bit further up into the Gila. What are you doing?
Checking the phone to see my location.
How you feeling?
Really good.
Have you got your mojo back, Hojo?
Absolutely.
Excellent. I'm not quite sure of the day of the week. I think it's Monday. I'm following the Gila River up to a place called Doc Campbell's, which is kind of proving interesting hiking. To be honest, it's a pain in the arse in parts. It's kind of really rocky, pebbly, and also the canyon walls in places are really kind of quite steep, to the point where they actually meet the river. So you're wading out into the river to get around places, and I've already lost count of the amount of times today I've had to wade across the river, but that's par for the course of this section. Hojo, I've kind of let go ahead. He's in a bit of a bad mood, bless him. He's not enjoying this section at all. I think his reasoning this morning was why can't they just route the track by the top of the canyon instead of cutting straight through it. But I guess we all have our slightly off days. I'm sure I'll have a few of them as well. Doc Campbell's is really just a place to stay, grab a shower. You can get some snacks there. We've got about a 19-mile day to get out there, and then we've got quite a long haul through to Pie Town. I'm not too sure of the mileage, but it's around about the 200-mile mark, which is going to take us about 8 to 9 days. We're up at 20 miles at the moment, or hovering around that point. So I've got a haul, ideally 9 days food out of there. The plus point is the water situation has obviously improved, or at least today it has. So we're not hauling around 4 or 5 litres of water. So yeah, the weight's gone up with the food, but it's kind of come down a bit in compensation with the water. So I've got about another 14 miles to Doc Campbell's, so looking forward to a shower, so I'm going to get going. This is probably about the 20th river crossing of the day, and you can't seem to find a shallow enough place to cross over, so we're kind of aiming for, you see where the little river currents are? Normally means the water's speeding up, which means either the river narrows, or if it's wider like that, it means it's shallower, which hopefully Hojo is about to now demonstrate. Absolutely no idea where the trail is, but it's along here somewhere. We're about a mile out from Doc Campbell's. We got out the river this morning, inadvertently took a a side pack trail, which kind of saves us about 3 or 4 miles of further wet feet. To be honest, we were kind of glad to get out of it at the end. Anyway, we've come out on a road, and we just got a little way to Doc Campbell's. I think Hojo, I stopped to take a photo a way back, perhaps a minute, something like that. I can't catch him up. I think he must have smelt the ice cream.
Back when I surfed when I walked down this morning. Skeeter.
Well, now she has one because of me.
Thanks to you, and nobody can write your name anyway.
What's your last name?
But at least you get a .com domain with that. The name is like Smith or Miller or whatever, or good luck with that.
Walk to the river or hike? River. We are river man, river woman.
Yeah, the river got us hooked today, so I have
But
to take a picture of it.
you are really good in river.
Gourmet food.
In the river, we don't have to take a lot of water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Well, everyone's taking
What-
pictures of my food.
What do you have inside? Again,
A lot of things.
spaghetti and then
Spaghetti, beet greens, parmesan,
Oh, okay.
powdered coconut milk, portobello's, creminis, garlic powder, pepper, salt, all the good stuff.
What's going on in there? Beans?
Carrots, onions, peas, mushrooms.
Just steeping them a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes the peas and the carrots I got in that backpacking box,
Yeah.
they're still a little firm. Okay, we're on what's known as the high route. It's about mile 200, something like that. It's a little bit hard to calculate because of all the alternate routes you can take. From Doc Campbell's, we did about a 5-mile road walk to the Gila cliff dwellings, which was pretty amazing. We just sort of bimbled around there for a morning, just looking around. And we had a couple of choices really. We could either carry on along the Gila River, which is kind of tucked down in a canyon, which we did for about a day and a half before Doc Campbell's, or we could do the high route. And we spent a good 2 hours deliberating it yesterday. Wide Angle, Ratner, and another hiker that's kind of joined them called Leah have carried along the Gila. Me and Hojo pretty much had enough of it on a day and a half. There was a hell of a lot of river crossings. It was kind of damp down there, it was cold. So we've decided to do this high route, which so far is turning out to be an absolute gem. it's higher up. We haven't seen anybody on here because I think most of them do take the Gila River route. And it's really nice up here, it's quiet. Especially this time of the morning, it's just prior to 7 o'clock. What I still can't quite get over is how cold it is. Nights are fine because we're sort of tucked up in a sleeping bag, we're really toasty. I don't know what the temperature is at the moment or when we got up, but it feels, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 degrees C. You get up, it's insulated jacket, hat and gloves weather, and it doesn't really warm up until sort of about 9 o'clock when the sun starts breaking through. So it's kind of cold hands, but if you do sort of set out walking all wrapped up, and in sort of 10 minutes you're overheating, so it's a hard one to judge. But for the time being, at least, we're pretty chuffed with the route. It's really beautiful. You just got these pines everywhere. The only minor problems are navigation. There's no CDT signs up here whatsoever, and I'm beginning to see what people have told me in relation to keeping an eye on navigation, because you really have to be spot on. We sort of check the route and that we're on it every 15 minutes, and there's not so much water up here at all. I think we're about 8 miles from where we started the high route. We haven't actually come across water yet. We're due to come across Bear Creek, where we're going to top up, and then again we've got to check the water situation further on from there. But anyway, it's a beautiful day. Get some hiking done. We've been looking for water all morning. We just found it. We also stumbled across. Well, we haven't stumbled across a cabin because it was on the USGS map that we got, which is on my Route Buddy app. But it's kind of a sweet looking little place. It really is out in the middle of nowhere. That's Hojo up there, and we've got nice water just down here. But I want to go and take a look at the cabin. Damn, what a place to live. I wonder who was living up here. Certainly don't think there's anybody living here at the moment, but it's a beautiful, beautiful spot. I think the high route so far has proved an absolute gem. It was either this up in the cool air, shade, or it was down in a dingy cavern in the a dingy canyon in the darkness and dampness. It's locked, so I ain't getting in. Not that it really matters, we're going to have water. Hojo's, what are you going to do now, Hoj?
Coffee time.
Coffee time, mid-morning coffee break. Made with fresh spring water and unfortunately Folgers instant coffee, but I'll forsake that. I'd just like to say that hauling a backpack full of gear, 7 days of food, 6 litres of water, up a 1,000-foot climb from the Gila Canyon can best be described as slow. I'm not having the best of mornings, despite the fact I can smile about it. I didn't sleep last night, which I think is something to do with the altitude. I mean, it's 8,000 feet. We're still in the Gila National Forest on the high route. 8,000 feet isn't huge, but it's normally enough to kick my sleep pattern into disarray. So I didn't sleep for most of the night. My alarm went off at 5:45, which is what it normally does. I promptly turned it off and fell asleep. So we were late starting. To add to my woes, I unzipped the tent, and whilst gingerly unfolding frozen socks on my feet, I noticed I'd left my water bottle outside of the tent, along with my water filter, which is frozen, which basically means my water filter is now useless. What you normally do is put it in a plastic ziplock and throw it in your sleeping bag so it doesn't go below freezing. There was a coyote prowling around our tents last night, howling its head off. That doesn't really bother me, just kind of woke me up in the short amount of space that I did manage to grab a few minutes sleep. I've run out of coffee, which is obviously a complete disaster. That's borderline emergency situation, running out of coffee. Luckily Hojo's Cafe is open for business, so we got walking for about an hour to get warmed up. He fired up his jet boil and brewed some coffee. So I've currently got a hot Nalgene of coffee stuffed down my jacket. Hojo had a look at his temperature gauge this morning. He's got a little plastic temperature gauge which was showing 0 degrees, which is about par for the Gila. Although speaking to a couple of people, they said it can go down to -10. And it's just started snowing. I think we're going up a little way, and then we're either dipping down in the canyon for about the last 40 or 50 miles to Pie Town, which is something we really didn't want to do, purely because it's a hell of a lot colder down there, and you've got Upteen River crossings as well, which isn't going to be much fun. So I'm not having the best of days, but it'll get better. Normally you get one thing go wrong, or one thing just kind of throws your stride off, but I've had 4 or 5 little things this morning that just put me in a really shitty mood, to be honest, but I'm kind of warming up, and things can only get better. Thankfully, at least today's a little bit warmer. It was damn cold yesterday, it was damn cold last night as well. It's kind of weird because you can feel the sun's really hot, but there's just this cold wind all the time. Anyway, that appears to have passed for today. Today's dilemma is actually trying to find the trail, because at the moment all we've got to go on is this. There's no trail at all. In terms of navigation, we've got a couple of apps we're kind of using. We both have Guthooks app on the CDT, which is working well, and I've also got an app by Route Buddy back home on the CDT, and they've downloaded a GPS track on it, which I think was one of Lay's routes, and they're kind of cross-referencing now. Lay's route has gone off north, so we're using Guthook at the moment. That's Hojo up ahead, but there's absolutely no trail whatsoever. Occasionally we pick up like an old marker on one of the trees, an old CDT marker. Why they're not there anymore I don't know. My guess is that there's a few bloody idiots about that have taken a knife to them and taken home as a souvenir, which isn't much use to the people behind for route finding. Maybe every mile we do see another one, but we just kind of, to be honest, we're kind of wandering through about 50 feet apart, and occasionally one of us will spot a cairn or an old marker, or the remains of a hole rather, on an old marker on a tree. And if not, we check one of the apps, and that's how we're finding our way. We've got about 15 miles today to a road, and then I think we've got about a 35-mile road walking to Pie Town. For a sorely needed resupply. My food is really just getting down to scraps. I'll probably muddle through. And we're also up at about 9,000 feet, which isn't a huge elevation, but I think the highest point on the CDT is Gray's Peak, which is about 14,000. But you can certainly feel it. Breathing's heavier, going's a little bit slower. Anyway, I better go and talk to Hojo, find out where the hell we're going. For every positive there is a negative. We've been going uphill all morning, if indeed you class an uphill as a negative. But the positive side of that is we're now going downhill. This looks like our water source for the day. By the look of things, I've seen better. Luckily I've still got a couple of litres floating around in the back of my backpack. But as Hojo just said, he could do with taking on a litre. So I'm going to wish him luck with that lot. This is the main reason why I do this stuff. Absolutely miles and miles of nothing man-made, just complete wilderness.